Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Aisha, your host. As Muslims around the world are celebrating the end of Ramadan, let's get Dr. Shabir's thoughts on this day. Why is it so special for Muslims from a spiritual perspective? What can people benefit from on this joyous occasion? Join me as we learn together. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shabir.
Pleasure to be on.
So Eid is upon us, and there is a general understanding, obviously, that Eid marks the end of Ramadan. But what does it mean from a spiritual perspective?
Eid is the time of giving thanks to God, and in a way, basking in the realization that we have served God during the month of Ramadan, especially in the case of the Eid now. That comes at the end of Ramadan. So the whole month of Ramadan, whether 29 or 30 days, were observed with fasting, additional worship at night, a lot of focus on reciting the Quran, doing good deeds, charity, serving humankind, and so on, in various ways. And now, this is the day for celebrating. So the Quran says in the second chapter in the 185th verse that God desires ease for you, not hardship, and He wishes that you will complete the month and that you will then celebrate the glory of God, and you will give thanks for the fact that He has guided you. So that's the sense of what Eid is about. We're giving thanks to God. So that's why we start the day with a morning prayer, a special morning prayer that is not held on other days. It's a gathering for the community at large. And in that prayer, or even proceeding towards the prayer, we start glorifying God by saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest, God is the greatest. There is no God but God, and God is the greatest.
Is there any significance, not significance, but in the past I've heard only men are encouraged to go to the Eid prayer. Is it encouraged for the entire family, including women, to attend Eid prayer?
Actually, encouraged for the entire family. It is even mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that even the women who happen to be menstruating at the time should come out. And it is also said that a woman said, but I don't have a jilbab, which is like a large outer cloak. So it is said that the Prophet, peace be upon him, remarked that let one of her sisters, a fellow Muslim woman, lend her a cloak so that she could actually wear that and come out. So apparently this reflects the idea that there were women who did not generally go out, so they did not have a need for one of these outer cloaks. The outer cloak would be put over the regular house clothing, and if women did not go out, then they didn't need one of those cloaks. So some women didn't have them, and partly due to poverty as well at the time. So even in the case of such women, it is recommended for them to come out and be part of the community so they can participate in the public supplication together. And they could actually see that we're part of a huge community here. We're not a few. And there is strength in numbers, and we can feel strong on that day.
And the sense of unity and everyone coming together.
Yes. And for this reason, it is also mentioned that the Prophet, peace be upon him, went two different ways. One way to the Eid prayer and another way back. And so by doing that, we can spread good cheer in two different paths. Yeah, we'll meet different people coming and different people going, and they could all see the joy of the people who are celebrating this day as a special day of giving thanks to God. And they can also, again, see the size of the community. They see that, there's a lot of Muslims we've met here today.
You kind of already started talking about this, but are there any specific, how did the Prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, carry out his day on Eid?
It is said that he would eat something light in the morning, and then he would come out to the Eid prayer. He would first observe the prayer, like right away as soon as he came out almost, without any announcement or the usual calls to prayer that are made. Our non-Muslim viewers will know that if you visit one of the Muslim countries, you will hear the call to prayer being delivered from the minarets. In this case, for the Eid prayer, there's no call. not even an announcement, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, would just come, occupy his position as the leader of the prayer. People would not naturally fall into place and follow him. After the prayer of 2 cycles, which lasts a few minutes, he would then turn around and address the community. And then, because microphones were not available in those days, and the women prayed towards the rear of the congregation, it is mentioned that the Prophet, peace be upon him, went all the way towards the women's quarters, and Bilal was with him, the muazzin, the one who normally called towards the prayer. And leaning on Bilal, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, delivered a sermon to the women as well, encouraging them to give charity.
I think there's just on that point, it speaks so much to accessibility and making mosques accessible to women as well, especially even when you're thinking about Eid prayer, right? That the Prophet did that.
Exactly, yes. So on this day, it is recommended as well that the people should wear good clothes, probably the best that you have. Within reason, of course.
So does it mean, because there's a big push every Eid to, you should buy new clothes. So is it that you should go out on Eid and purchase new clothes, or is it just about wearing clean, fresh clothing?
I think clean, fresh clothing, but also people should observe the day according to their means. If you don't have money to buy new clothes, then obviously it's not a requirement and an obligation for you to get new clothing, but you should try to make sure that your clothing are washed. What you're going to wear is washed, cleaned, pressed, looking good. Because you want to say, okay, this is the day I'm giving thanks to God, and whatever bounties God has given me, I want to let this be known. This is what God has given me. You don't want to appear in rags, giving the impression that God hasn't blessed you with anything, and maybe on that day somebody might start looking to give you charity because they're looking at this poor guy, he doesn't have anything. So but this is a way of giving thanks to God as well, by dressing according to one's own standards, according to the blessings that God has bestowed upon somebody. So if one normally would buy clothing for a special occasion, then this is a special occasion, an occasion as you would have. So naturally you should buy clothing for this occasion as well. But at the same time, this is not one of those occasions for revelry and merrymaking of that nature in which people forget God. Okay, yes, be happy and celebrate and be merry, but obviously we don't drink alcohol. We don't gamble. We do things in a way that reflects the comportment of one who has devoted the month of fasting towards God, and now is giving thanks for that. So we shouldn't be distracted so much that, it's going to take me a day of shopping to go about selecting the best that I can to look good on Eid. And then looking good on Eid is not for the purpose of looking better than the other person. Some people are of such a disposition that they want to make sure that what they wear is so unique. If somebody else wears the same thing that I wear, it looks... So it's not for pride. In fact, there are narratives attributed to our Prophet, peace be upon him, which condemn the one who wears a clothing of pride. So it's not to show that we're better than somebody else, but just a way of giving thanks to God and respecting the day as a special day. So the kinds of preparations we would do, we would make for some other special day, are deserving here as well, provided that they are not contrary to the general spirit of Islamic teachings.
So how do we live in a society where when it's Christmas time, there's you can tell it's Christmas lights are up, there's a lot of excitement. With Eid it's a little bit different because you don't necessarily see that outward excitement. So how do you make Eid sort of a joyous occasion, even within your own family? And family, maybe let's start with the family and then the community.
Well, one of the things that, if you mention Christmas and we think in terms of comparison, like what's known in our culture, in our Canadian setting, and how can, let's say, Muslim children growing up in this setting enjoy...
Look forward,
and look forward to Eid, as perhaps a non-Muslim child may look forward to Christmas. Well, one of the things that children look forward to is gifts. And giving gifts is part of our tradition. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is known to have recommended giving gifts as a way of building and cementing relationships. So much more so with the children who will delight in these things because they're not at the level of abstract ideas. They see the physical things that are there in their hands. So we should give gifts to the children and make them feel that this is a great day and we have 2 of them in the year. So that they have something to look forward to. Moreover, there's no harm in decorating the house. In fact, a clever shopper may look for the post-Christmas decorative items that are
really
on sale
smart.
and save them up for the time of Eid. So when it comes to Eid, you can use these decorations to brighten up your own home and make the situation festive. There may be some things which are so particular to Christmas that may not befit the occasion of Eid, like let's say, symbols of Jesus and Mary or something like this, or symbols of the cross or something of this nature. But if there's no such thing that is contrary to the Islamic ethos, then, if it comes to lights and streamers and so on, then these could be used for decorating the home.
I'll just add there are a lot of Islamic organizations too that are starting. I think there's Honey Lemon events and Date Palm and other Islamic stores that they have decorations out for Ramadan and for Eid.
True. There are balloons that say Eid Mubarak on them, so you can obtain these and let your children feel that this is a happy and festive occasion.
How do you instill that sense of excitement within the community?
Within the community, there can be community events. There could be in the mosques and Islamic organizations, some activities for children. Some of the Muslim organizations would rent a park for the day and they would bring out rides and carousels and so on, so that children can enjoy the day. In our own center, we have often a bouncy castle. So children come in and despite the limited space, they can enjoy some of this fun indoors.
So just as we wrap up, going back to Ramadan, how can we, you have Eid, you're celebrating Eid, it's all good. But then how do you keep the spirit of Ramadan alive and all of the good habits that you developed?
Well, definitely that's an important question because after all of this day of celebration, in fact, in this day of celebration as well, we cannot forget the spirit of Ramadan. We can't start doing evil things now that we used to avoid during the month. This will be like such an about face. It's almost like we're waiting for the month to go back to our evils. But naturally, because it's a day of relaxation, we're going to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we need to get serious again soon after that. Some Muslims observe 6 days of fasting during the month of Shawwal, which is the name of the month coming right after the month of Ramadan. So it can be any of the 6 days in which one would then relive the spirit of fasting. They could be 6 days in isolation or 6 days altogether. We should continue to memorize and recite the Quran. We should continue to offer prayer. We should continue charitable deeds and serving humankind, visiting the hospitals, visiting people who are in prisons, visiting those who are weak and sick and for some reason in need of help. We should be a lending and helping hand.
Always a holistic and helpful conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll answer questions from you, our viewers.